Hello and welcome to the CTM NewsBreak. We keep you updated on what's happening right here in town. I'm Diane Sherritt-Steimel. State Senator and Congressional candidate Barbara L'Italian was in Chelmsford to host one of her kitchen table conversation tour stops on the town common. She had her kitchen table with her. She and her husband brought that when they were engaged in 1985. A lot of important conversations happen around the kitchen table, so L'Italian has been bringing hers to communities around the district. It's all to learn more about the issues residents are concerned about. She said healthcare concerns is what drew her into politics.
The reason that compelled me to run for office in the first place was my son with autism, and he's now 28 years old, very similar in age to your son. We were paying insurance premiums for my 4 children, 2 of whom have asthma, and I could get treatment for them very easily, but could not get anything paid for autism.
She served lemonade and cookies while people weighed in. Wage growth was one topic of discussion.
We have low unemployment, and yet we have never seen such a differential between the haves and the have-nots. We have not seen wage growth. People were promised that we were going to have trickle down. I don't know how many times we're going to be fooled by trickle down.
The state senator has brought some $16 million into various bills for the city of Lowell, funneling state cash towards parks and more than $1 million for the site of a new high school. Speaking of candidates, voting time is almost upon us, and absentee ballots are now available for the state primary election. Now, in order to be eligible to vote absentee ballot, you must be absent from town on election day or must be prevented from voting at your polling place, either by disability or religious belief.
Absentee ballots are available on the Secretary of State's website. If you Google Elections Division, they can get their ballots there. We can accept any application in written form as long as there's a signature. So if they just wrote us a note with their signature on it saying they wanted an absentee ballot and we knew where to send it, we could send it. We do have forms for people's convenience in our office as well. They can vote here absentee over the counter if they choose to, or they can send a family member in to get a form to submit for them as well. Early voting will be available for the 10 days before the November election, but not for the primary on September 4th.
In other news, the Lowell Humane Society has launched a program that allows kids to read to the dogs and other animals who are stuck at the shelter. That project, known as Tales for Tales, was designed to help children practice their literacy skills, and it just might be the cutest thing out there.
Here, there's no judgment. Talking to the animals, reading to the animals, gives them the chance to build on their skills. Each week, we'll come here to the Humane Society and visit and read to the animals, as well as we also meet during the week and work on building their reading skills. It's kind of closing the gap. They call it the learning loss over the summer, where the kids, because they're not in school, there sometimes creates a gap in between school years, and we're working to make sure that gap doesn't get bigger, but also working to close the gap.
As good as this program is for the kids, it's just as good for the animals. And finally, Chelmsford officials want you to join them at the 5th annual Candlelight Overdose Vigil.
The reason that we do the vigil is to remember loved ones who lost their battle with substance use disorder. Chelmsford is the same as every other community around here. We are not exempt. We have issues with substance use in this town, just like anybody else. Unfortunately, substance use disorder does not discriminate, so it's everywhere. And what we are trying to do is increase awareness about this horrible disease, because it is a disease. And by doing this vigil, we can remember not only those who have lost their struggle with addiction, but also those who still suffer from addiction, or what the proper word now is substance use disorder, and also to remember those who are in recovery, because getting into recovery is also a huge accomplishment.
The Overdose Vigil will be held Sunday, September 30th at 6:30 p.m. on the Town Common. Thanks for watching this CTM NewsBreak, brought to you by Chelmsford Telemedia. If you have news we could use, contact us at newsbreak@chelmsfordtv.org. I'm Diane Sherritt-Steimel.